Oh, on the subject of Houston and Duke, Jay, I got to ask: was that a proper call of an over the back on Cooper Flag that wound up giving free throws to Houston to take a lead in that game?
Yeah, it was a foul. It was a foul. But what I would say, Rich, is in that game, it probably wasn't. That was more of a hockey game. And so when that sort of thing with officiating, when you let something go for 39 minutes and then you call it there, and I have a little bit of a different take. I think the officials should be more vigilant in calling physical contact on cutters and on players with the ball. Physicality on rebounding, I'm okay with. I think that's where you let a little more go. Let them be physical when they're rebounding. But do I think the call was correct? Yes, I do, by the rule book. But I can show you a bunch of other plays in that game where there was way more contact on rebounds in an over the back situation. There was no call made. So you can kind of argue it both ways, but that's not that was one of the important plays in that game, but it wasn't the only one. There were a litany of plays you could go down toward the end of that game where Duke didn't handle it very well and Houston did. So Houston took it from them. I mean, I guess there's no great comeback without a corresponding collapse by the other team. But I really do think the sharpness of not having been in close games was a factor in Duke not being able to execute down the stretch when there was real game pressure on in a really big game.
What do you think the postmortem in John Shire's office is right now, Jay?
The postmortem, I think John's really smart. So I think they're going to look at it for what it is. They didn't execute when they had to. And you look at, well, how do we do this better in the future? The problem is none of those players are going to be there next year. So one of the things that factored into that game was Houston lost to Duke last year in the Sweet 16 when Jamal Shead got injured in the first half of that game, didn't play in the second half. They were lost by 2 points. I think it was 54-52, if I remember right. I thought Houston was a better team. But all those guys came back, and they had some new players added, but they all came back. So they all had that sort of, what would you call it, institutional memory of that. And that's how a lot of great teams operate. They benefit from the times they've fallen short, and they've been in the fire, and they move forward in a positive way. Duke doesn't have that luxury because their team changes just about every year. So, you could argue, well, what's the better approach? Do you get, quote unquote, lesser recruits and keep them for longer so that they can develop together? And maybe you're tougher and stronger and older, or do you go for the super talent? Because I think, there were probably 358 teams that would have traded places with Duke. They only lost 4 games on the season. So they were legit and certainly could have won that game. They just didn't. But only one team cuts the nets down. It was Florida, but I think John will handle it positively. It's a crushing blow, obviously, but he's a competitor, and true competitors know that they can go into a game and lose, and they handle it the right way, and he's one of those guys.
Catch the Rich Eisen Show live weekdays from 12 to 3 p.m. Eastern on Roku Sports Channel in the U.S.